Let's jump straight into it. Number 1, the War of Jenkins' Ear. This war began because someone brought evidence to a meeting. In 1731, British merchant captain Robert Jenkins was sailing in the Caribbean when his ship was boarded by Spanish coast guards. Smuggling was common, tensions were already high, and Spain was aggressively enforcing its trade laws. During the search, an officer accused Jenkins of illegal activity and punished him on the spot by slicing off his ear. The officer reportedly told Jenkins to take it back to his king as a warning. Jenkins did exactly that. He preserved the ear. For years, nothing happened. Britain and Spain argued constantly, but no war followed. Jenkins' injury became just another grievance in a long list of maritime complaints. Then, in 1738, Jenkins was called to testify before the British Parliament, which was already looking for a reason to confront Spain. He produced the ear. The moment was theatrical and effective. Newspapers ran with the story. Politicians framed it as a national humiliation. British merchants demanded action. The public became obsessed with the idea that Spain had literally mutilated British honor. Spain disputed the details, but by then the narrative had taken over. In 1739, Britain declared war. The conflict that followed was messy, expensive, and largely unsuccessful. Fighting focused on the Caribbean and colonial ports. Disease killed far more soldiers than combat. Campaigns stalled in tropical heat. Objectives remained vague. The ear that sparked the outrage did nothing to help Britain win. Eventually, the war was absorbed into a larger European conflict, and Jenkins's ear faded into legend. It became shorthand for a ridiculous cause attached to a very real war, but the damage was already done. Number 2, the War of the Bucket. This war started because someone refused to give something back. In 1325, the Italian city-states of Modena and Bologna were already rivals. Both were wealthy, proud, and constantly testing each other's influence. All it took was an excuse. According to tradition, Modenese soldiers raided a Bolognese outpost and stole a wooden bucket from a well. It wasn't valuable. It wasn't symbolic. It was just there. Bologna demanded its return. Modena refused. Insults escalated. Alliances were activated. Armies mobilized. Tens of thousands of soldiers marched into the countryside over an object that could have been replaced in minutes. The Battle of Zappolino followed. Modena's forces were badly outnumbered, but still managed to defeat Bologna's army. Thousands of men were killed. Villages were damaged. The political balance of the region shifted. The bucket was never returned. Instead, Modena kept it as a trophy. It still exists today, preserved as a reminder of the conflict. The war was never really about the bucket. It was about power, pride, and resentment built up over generations. But the official trigger remained absurdly small. Men didn't die for honor. They died because no one wanted to back down first. Number 3, the War of the Stray Dog. This war started because someone crossed the wrong border chasing a pet. In 1925, tensions between Greece and Bulgaria were high but manageable. The border was fragile. Recent wars had redrawn maps, and both sides were suspicious of each other. Still, open war wasn't expected. Then a dog ran. According to the most common account, a Greek soldier was walking near the border when his dog ran across into Bulgarian territory. The soldier followed. Bulgarian border guards saw this as a violation and opened fire. The soldier was killed. What should have been a minor diplomatic incident escalated immediately. Greek commanders demanded an apology. Bulgaria offered talks. Greece chose artillery. Greek forces invaded Bulgarian territory within days. Villages were shelled, civilians fled, soldiers died in clashes that no one had planned for. The fighting lasted about a week. International observers were stunned. Newspapers struggled to explain why two countries were suddenly at war over an incident involving a dog. The League of Nations intervened, ordering a ceasefire. Greece was forced to withdraw and pay compensation. The conflict ended as suddenly as it began. The official name stuck. History remembers it as a war started because someone chased the wrong animal in the wrong direction. Number 4, the Pig War. This war started because someone shot dinner. In 1859, the United States and Britain were disputing the border between Washington Territory and British-controlled Vancouver Island. The boundary was poorly defined and mostly ignored, until a pig wandered onto the wrong farm. A British-owned pig repeatedly crossed onto American land and began eating a farmer's potatoes. The farmer shot it. The British owner demanded compensation. The American refused. Local authorities escalated immediately. American troops were sent to the island. British warships arrived soon after. Cannons were positioned. Orders were prepared. Two global powers stared each other down over a dead pig. Neither side wanted to be remembered as starting a war over livestock, so both hesitated. Negotiations dragged on. Troops remained in place for months, then years. No shots were fired beyond the pig. Eventually, arbitrations settled the border dispute peacefully. Joint occupation ended. Everyone went home. The only casualty was the pig. It remains one of the most restrained wars in history, triggered by one of the least impressive causes imaginable. Number 5. The Pastry War. This war began because a bakery filed paperwork. In the 1830s, Mexico was politically unstable, and foreign-owned businesses were often damaged during unrest. One of those businesses was a French-owned pastry shop in Mexico City. The owner claimed that Mexican soldiers had looted and destroyed his shop years earlier. He demanded compensation. Mexico ignored him. France did not. Using the pastry shop's claim as justification, France demanded a massive payment from Mexico. When Mexico refused, French warships blockaded ports and attacked coastal defenses. A full military intervention followed. French forces bombarded fortresses, occupied territory, and forced negotiations. Mexico eventually agreed to pay, not just for the bakery, but for additional French claims bundled into the demand. The war cost lives, damaged infrastructure, and worsened Mexico's instability, all over a pastry shop. The bakery itself vanished from history, but the war kept its name, because nothing summarizes international embarrassment quite like armed conflict over desserts. That's enough history for one video.